Hey there, YouTube land, and we're here to talk about another film. So what are we here to talk about today, man?
We're here to talk about Wrong Turn 2. The
Dead End.
second one.
So, well, Matthew, give this one a scathing review as he did Wrong Turn. Let's find out. Well, first let's set it up. This one actually is directed by Joe Lynch, who is a pretty good director when it comes to horror stuff. He works a lot with Adam Green. They're friends, and he acts in small cameo roles in these movies. He did a part in Chillerama, the zombie part, and does some very different kind of cool stuff. He's grown up a lot on the B movies and gore, and you can tell. The movie, this one here, was meant to be more than just a sequel to Wrong Turn. It was meant to be, actually, it was meant to be a kind of a homage to sequels, 80 sequels in general. And it starts out with Kimberly Caldwell from American Idol.
Yeah.
Playing basically a bitchy version of herself. I'm not sure what she's like. I don't watch American Idol. And so she's killed, and she's really killed. This really ups the gore count quite a bit at the beginning of the movie.
Yeah.
We get she gets her bottom half
Like the bottom.
ripped right off, and then she gets split in two, and that's before the credits sequence start. It starts out pretty good. We're introduced to a group led by Henry Rollins' character, and they're playing a game called a reality game.
Apocalypse, I think it's called.
It's kind of a convoluted reality game, but it's just a way to get all these kind of like survivalist type people, all these hardcore reality people into one place. So that basically we have a setup for the characters. We're introduced to the characters a la Survivor, Big Brother style by a little montage of each character.
Already better establishing characters than they did in the previous film.
And we get to meet each character. We're introduced to a dark-haired girl who looks like she's going to be the lead protagonist in the film. Henry Rollins, who we're pretty sure is the celebrity got to get killed off at the beginning of the film.
Yeah.
And a blonde girl that's kind of bitchy, so we think she's going to die pretty early too.
Yeah.
We're also introduced to a guy, Texas Battle.
His name is Texas Battle.
That's his real name, but
Just take that in for a second.
and he's
Texas
the nice guy.
Battle.
So we can't expect him to die, and you'd be sad when he goes. Kind of like in the Jeremy Sissel's character in the first movie.
Yeah, exactly.
And we're introduced to a lesbian character,
Yeah.
a douchey guy that has death written all over him,
The slutty girl.
a slutty girl. There's the lesbian kick-ass character, and there's the overly obsessed with sex guy,
Yeah, the like funny
that,
guy.
kind of funny, annoying type guy. And then it throws all the conventions out the window.
Yeah, no.
The good girl that we expect, well, the spoilers, guys, spoilers. The good girl that we expect to live, she is killed off early in the film.
Yeah.
And a scene that shocked the hell out of Matt, especially.
Yeah, because I was like, oh, okay.
And the guy that we thought was going to die very early in the film, Henry Rollins, the more famous actor,
He lasts
he
quite a long
lasts
time.
almost to the end of the film. And he is completely kick-ass. He's a badass in this movie.
Oh, yeah.
Like Henry Rollins in real life, he kicks ass.
And you know who else also survives for a very, very long time? Possibly past the end of the film? Texas Battle.
Yes, the guy that has a nice
scene-
guy that gets killed written all over him
Yeah.
actually is a nice guy that lives. The girl that seems like she's a little bitchy in the beginning, but has a little bit more depth to her. She also lives. The thing
She's
is that
our protagonist. She's our
I
real protagonist.
actually thought that both of those girls were going to actually be the main protagonists.
Yeah.
And that we're going to have the two girl protagonists team this time. And then I thought, okay, that other girl's dead. Now the lesbian character, because she was kind of kick-ass too, she's going to be it. And then you thought she was really bitchy for one sequence.
Yeah, I thought
And
she,
in
I thought
actuality-
she was bland, and she was like, "Oh, look."
When
I also thought she was like,
her death with the guy is actually,
yeah, no, that
who's
really
also
made
kind
up
of
for it.
seems one note too, is also kind of heart-wrenching, and their
But-
characters actually redeem themselves, both of them. And
Oh yeah, no, that was awesome. That was a really good death sequence.
okay, overall the movie, Ken Kirzinger also stars in this movie as Pa. Ken Kirzinger played Jason in Freddy vs. Jason. Poor bastard got directed by Ang Lee, was it?
I think so.
No, not Ang Lee. The
No.
guy that did Brian, oh God,
God.
Ronnie Yu, by Ronnie Yu.
Yes.
And thank God he didn't have Ronnie Yu directing him here. He did a much better job. Now,
Oh,
what do
there's another thing, by the way.
What?
Another one of my complaints from the last film, that, wasn't in this film. The bad guys, the deformed things. One, are explained, and two, actually have depth to them this time around instead of just being three random brutes who are killing people.
Well, it's 4.
Yeah, there's like
Plus, we have
Set.
the return of three fingers
Six.
too.
Yeah, that's true. So it's
And-
5 in total.
And
really.
no, and there's also
Also the baby.
the secret guy, the guy from the first one.
Oh yeah, and him. So wow, we're rounding up right
It's-
there.
It's and I
It's
mean,
quite
like they
well done.
last, and they
There's a
show like
depth, there's
that they're kind of mutant and stuff like that, and there's like almost like kind of like a, I don't know if it's a healing factor, but they have a really strong like
Yeah.
survival thing. Like especially the brother's got this thing where he can like knock his bones could get knocked out of
I
joint
think
type
more could have
thing.
been done with that, but
And
it was really
he
cool.
goes up, and but
You only
they do-
really see it twice, but it's cool. It's really cool when you see it.
I wish Joe Lynch's name was directed on more of these films because he did a kick-ass sequel. Actually,
Yeah,
it
it was
tops
really, really
the original film. And I like
For
the
me, a
original film
lot.
in every sense.
Yeah, it's really, really good.
It-
There's only one thing I would say that I wish they'd done a little bit more of
What's
and
that?
played with was there's it's only briefly mentioned, but they're like there's crazed freaks and mutants out there that could attack you and stuff like that. Everything's weird in this post-apocalyptic world in the apocalypse. And I thought they were going to play more with that because, you know, they're obviously, like, our bad guys are a bunch of deformed people.
He's referencing the game that they're playing. That Ken
Yeah,
Rollins
yeah, because they're playing
mentions
an apocalypse thing, and they make a reference to the fact, like, mutants and, like, raiders could attack. And I'm like, oh, okay, this could be a pretty good setup. And they briefly reference it, like, one other time where the jokey guy's like, it's part of the show, it's what they said. But all in all, they don't actually do too much with it, which isn't too bad. But I just would have liked to have seen a little bit more of that.
it. He didn't really need it though.
They didn't really need it. I just thought like that would have been a cool like little thing if there was a scene where they're like, oh, it's just one of these guys.
So let's do it, dude. Let's get your score for Wrong Turn 2, Dead End.
All right.
Out of 5.
Out of 5, I'd say I don't want to go 4 because that's a bit high. I like a 3.5 to 3.75 because I did really like it. It was fun. It was a lot of fun. It was a huge improvement over the last film. Characters aren't dry anymore. The villains aren't like one note anymore. Much more interesting. There's a scene actually during the death of 2 really cool characters where the character Pa is about, or like Pa, our father, or whatever it is about to like shoot an arrow through him, and he stops and he gives it to Brother, and there's just kind of like a family bonding moment, which is silly because you got these like mutant like characters doing it, but it's like it's adding stuff to it. It's not like the last film where the most thing we see them do is like run out and kill people most of the time and then hack them up. There's more to it. These characters are more than just one-dimensional villains for once, even if they are silly like mutant creatures.
I gotta agree. Actually, I'm going to give this one a solid 4. And you know what? Watching this one here, I could actually see some of the complaints that Matthew had in the first movie. It brought some of them more to light by saying this movie kind of put up against it. This really was a well done film. It was a good film. And Matthew said we're watching the movie like 15 or 20 minutes into the movie. It's like, I wish this was the first film.
Yeah.
And
No.
I kind of agreed because they really established things. And, in the first film, it's a big chase film and stuff like that. And I liked the characters. I thought the girls were very attractive in the first film.
Yeah.
And they did a very good job. But this was a better film. This was a much
Was.
better film. As a sequel and as an original film.
Yeah.
And for me, I'm going to give it a solid 4. I was going to give it a 3.75, but I will give it a solid 4 because you rarely see a sequel that ups the original this much. But
Yeah.
it really, really does.
There's a lot more depth to everything. There's a lot more to it. The
Every
explanation's
character
good.
has more depth. There is an actual explanation. And whereas I didn't mind there being little explanation and more of a chase in this one, in the first one, when you watch this one, you do kind of see what you're
Yeah.
missing. Your points do come through
Yeah.
in like what was missing in the first film. And I give it to you. You were pretty right.
All right, there we go.
So
See?
that's-
It's a 2-parter. All you have to do is look at the second part, you'd see. Just like these movies. Go to the second part, you'll see the truth. the
but
better answer.
for me right now, before I go to bed, it is time for tea. We are definitely gonna be watching more of these, aren't we, this weekend?
Oh, yeah.
So yeah, it's 3 and 4 next, right?
Yeah, 3 and 4 are next. I
Alright.
mentioned 3 is probably pretty bad. After the family going, it's going to be a bit weird.
Yeah, I'm not sure what's in the next ones.
Yeah, other than Three Fingers are like...
It's in the character called Three Tails or something.
That's the baby, I think.
Oh.
I don't know if it's grown up or something. I'm going to guess.
Well, there's more mutants. We saw there's definitely a lot of mutagen in the water.
Yeah.
Thanks for watching, guys. For me right now, it is time for tea.
Sue me.